A petty kingdom is one of a number of small kingdoms, described as minor or petty, by contrast to an empire, a unified kingdom that either preceded or succeeded it. Alternatively, a petty kingdom would be a minor kingdom in the immediate vicinity of larger kingdoms, such as the medieval Kingdom of Mann and the Isles relative to the kingdoms of Scotland or England of the Viking kingdoms of Scandinavia. In the context of the Dark Ages of the prehistoric Iron Age, such minor kingdoms are also known as tribal kingdoms. In the parallel Southeast Asian political model, petty kingdoms were known as Mueang. By the European High Middle Ages, many post-Roman Early Middle Ages petty kingdoms had evolved into principalities, grand duchies, or duchies. By the European Early Modern era, many of these principalities had been mediatized into larger monarchies, but the ruling families were considered morganatic for marriage considerations and ranked equal to royal families in society. The various small states of the Holy Roman Empire are generally not considered to be petty kingdoms, since they were at least nominally subject to the Holy Roman Emperor and not fully independent. Anatolia Bay Lakes were small Turkish principalities governed by beys, which were founded across Anatolia at the end of the 11th century in a first period, and more extensively during the decline of the Seljuk Sultanate of Rum during the second half of the 13th century. The Ottoman Empire quickly collected itself under Mehmed I, and his son Murad II reincorporated most of these Bay Lakes into Ottoman territory in a space of around 25 years. The final blow for the Karamanids was struck by Mehmed II, who conquered the lands and reassured a homogeneous rule in Anatolia. The further steps towards a single rule by the Ottomans were taken by Selim I, who conquered territories of Ramadnads and Dul Qadirids in 1515 during his campaign against the Mamluks, and his son Suleiman the Magnificent, who more or less completely united the present territories of Turkey in his 1534 campaign. Many of the former Anatolian beyliks became the basis for administrative subdivisions in the Ottoman Empire. England. Before the Kingdom of England was established as a united entity, there were various kingdoms in the area, of which the main seven were known as the Heptarchy. These were Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria, East Anglia, Sussex, Kent, and Essex. Iberian Peninsula. See the article about the Taifa for the Islamic petty kingdoms that existed in Iberia after the collapse of the Caliphate of Córdoba in 1031. Ireland. The earliest known kingdoms or tribes in Ireland are referred to in Ptolemy's Geography, written in the 2nd century. He names the Venisni, Robogdi, Urdani, Magnata, Ortani, Gangani, Velabori, Darini, Voluntii, Eblani, Corsa, Menapi, Coriondi and Brigantes tribes and kingdoms. Irish medieval pseudo-history gives a seemingly idealized division of kingdoms. The island is divided into fifths. There is Ullaid in the north, Coistol and Neckmaged in the west, Mueang in the south, and Lagwain in the east. They all surround the central kingdom of Maid. Each of the outer four-fifths had their own king, with the High King of Ireland ruling over them from Tara in Maid. In historical times, Maid disappeared as a province. The four remaining fifths contained large numbers of Tuathara sub-kingdoms, constantly shifting as old dynasties died and new ones formed. Nepal. Before the unification of Nepal by the Shah dynasty, there were dozens of petty kingdoms. The Karnali region was called the Bays Raja, i.e., 24 kingdoms. Norway. In the early Viking Age, there were several different petty kingdoms, spurred by the unification of several of these kingdoms under Halfdan the Black and his son Harald Fairhair. The country unified around year 872. Some of the kingdoms, medieval Serbia comprised, at various time periods, smaller kingdoms of Rashka, Zeta, Samir in the Duchy of Hum, Scotland. There were many petty kingdoms in Scotland before its unification. They can be grouped by language: Cumbric, Gododin, Strathclyde Regard, Pictish, Fortriu, Pictavia, Caitse, situated in modern Mar and Buchan Circin, perhaps situated in modern Angus and the Mearns. Fib, the modern Fife, known to this day as the Kingdom of Fife. Fidage, location unknown. Fotla, modern Athol, Anglo-Saxon, Burnish and Northumbria, Gaelic, Dalriata, Sweden. According to the Norse sagas and modern history, Sweden was divided into more or less independent units in some areas corresponding to the Falklands and the modern traditional provinces. According to the sagas, the Falklands and provinces of eastern Svealand were united under the Swedish king at Gamla Uppsala. Moreover, the domains of this king could also include parts of Götaland and even southern Norway. This probably reflects the volatile politics of Iron Age Scandinavia. The province of Småland once consisted of several petty kingdoms, as also the meaning of the word Småland reveals. Wales rarely has the country of Wales formed one cohesive kingdom. For the greater part of its history, Wales evolved into 4 petty kingdoms, or principalities. Following the Roman withdrawal from Britain in the 5th century, mountainous geography, forested glens, river valleys, and upland moors contributed to a strong sense of localism and autonomy, though the Welsh people shared a deeply felt sentiment of nationality, as reflected in Welsh law codified in the 10th century. According to historian Professor John Davies, there are 4 geographic regions more or less equal in terms of resources and population, from which 4 principalities emerged: Ynys for Gwynedd, the Severn River Valley for Powys, the Vale for Glamorgan and the lands up to the Wye, and the East Stradtwy for Deheubarth. Rhodri the Great inherited Gwynedd from his father and Powys through his mother, and married Angarad of Sicilg, and ruling there by right of his wife. Rhodri exerted great influence in the rest of Wales as well, and after his death his realms were divided amongst his sons. Nevertheless, the House of Aberfraw of Gwynedd, as the senior line descendants of Rhodri the Great, claimed overlordship over the whole of Wales, though they would encounter resistance by junior dynasts of Dyn Fwr. It would not be until 1216 Council of Aberdyfi that the Aberfraw line under Llywelyn the Great would be able to secure the position as Prince of the Welsh. Gwynedd, 5th century 1282. See also History of Gwynedd during the High Middle Ages. See also Culture of Gwynedd during the High Middle Ages. Marianid, Rosetta Onion. Deheubarth 920-1116. Sicilg, a petty kingdom from 680 to 920, comprising Ceredigion and East Stradtwy. In 871, Princess Angarad inherited Sicilg, and her husband Rhodri of Gwynedd Powys administered it by right of his wife on her behalf, and incorporated it into his kingdom. Later, Angarad and Rhodri gave Sicilg to the second son Cadel ap Rhodri to rule as a vassal and appendage of Gwynedd. Cadel founded the Dyn Fwr dynasty of Deheubarth. Ceredigion East Stradtwy Dyfed, a petty kingdom between c. 410 to 920, merged into Deheubarth through inheritance. Powys Bracane Yog, Gwerthanion, Buel, Penguin, Elphi Elmelianid. Kingdom of Morganig, Kingdom of Glywazing, Kingdom of Gwenturgench, Dumnonia, Regard Elmad Gododin de Ria Bryni.